Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be learning how to convert fractions into percentages, and we're going to do 3 practice problems together, and then I'll have you try one on your own. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, let's do one more problem. We're going to do 1/3. So remember, all fractions are division problems. This is 1/3, which is the same as, let's change it to my highlighter, it's the same as 1 divided by 3. Okay, the way we say it is the way you write it. So 3 does not go into 1. So I put a 0 and my decimal point, drop in another 0. 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 equals 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. 3 can't go into 1, so I add in another 0, and I have 10 again. So I say 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. And then we're going to start to notice a pattern that every time it's going to be 10. And we call this, which was one of our vocabulary words, a repeating decimal. The 3's will continue to repeat. Okay, so instead of writing 3 over and over, we can just write 0.3 with the line above it. That's the repeating sign. Okay, so now what does this look like in our hundreds grid? And 1/3, so we have 0.3 repeating, which technically this is 3/9 as a fraction. It's not in tenths because it's repeating. But we're gonna take since it's out of 100, let's fill in 33 squares. Okay, so also you can think of place value. This is the tenths place value, so that's a fraction over 10. So, and like I said, if it wasn't a repeating decimal, if it's just 0.3, we would write that as 3/10. Anything that's repeating is actually over 9. And then 33, this is the hundredths place value, so it would be 33 hundredths, and actually it would be 99 since it's repeating. So we're going to fill in 33 squares. 1, 2, there's 30, 1, 2, 3, and then 0.3 repeating, because the 3 is going to keep on going, okay, and we're not going to be able to draw that. So equivalent ratios. So 1/3 we said right here is actually equivalent to 3/9. Okay, and that pattern would be times 3 times 3. Okay, and 3/9, if you divide it out in your calculator, it will give you repeating decimal. And as a percentage, we can reference back to what we just did here. Out of 100, remember all percents are a fraction part to whole comparison, but the whole amount is always 100. And so it would be 33.3 repeating, right, would be as a percentage. So I would write it 33.3 repeating percent. Okay, for our first set of practice problems, we are going to start here by filling in the box, each of the boxes, to find the percent. So you can see that progression that I was speaking of earlier. We're going to start with what we know about fractions, convert them into decimals, look at what that looks like visually in a hundreds grid, create equivalent ratios, and then finally we'll write what our percent is, what is 1/5 as a percentage. So remember that all fractions are decimals, and 1/5, okay, a fraction is part over a whole. This is the part. 1 out of 5 is the whole amount, and 1 divided by 5 is what the fraction is. So the 1 goes on the inside of the 10. 1 divided by 5 is our divisor. And so then we say 5, can 5 go into 1? No, it cannot. So we add our decimal point and drop in a 0. 5 goes into 10 2 times. So 2 times 5 gives me 10, and it goes in exactly. So as a decimal, the way we say this decimal is 2/10, which is also how I could draw it in my hundreds grid. So you can see that there are 100 tiny squares here, not cubes, and each row, or this would be column, I guess, has 10, right? Going up and down. So right, what I just shaded in would be 2/10, yes? Okay, that's what 2/10 would look like. But if I counted each of these tiny squares, okay, the tiny squares, if I counted them all up, this would actually be 20 out of the 200. So we already have two equivalent fractions that we can now write in our next column. We have 2/10, because I'd have two strips of 10, is also equivalent to 20 hundredths, okay, which is also equivalent to our starting fraction 1/5. Okay, and you can also sort of see the when we talked about equivalent ratios, we talked about what that progression looks like, which you can create them by multiplying or dividing the same the numerator and the denominator by the same number, and we can see that pattern here when we go from 1/5 to 2/10 to 20 hundredths. From here I multiply times 2. And so 1 times 2 gives me 2, 5 times 2 gives me 10. From here I multiply times 10. 2 times 10 is 20, and 10 times 10 is 100. So those are three equivalent ratios. Can you think of any more? Let's finally finish off by writing our percent. So we know as a decimal, 1/5 is 2/10, and we know in our hundreds grid, it's 20 out of 100, which that's how we write percentages out of 100. So that equals 20%. You could also look at your decimal and increase it, multiply it times 100. So 0 and 2/10 times 100, and that's the same as moving your decimal point 1 2 times. So again, we get 20%. Thanks for learning with me today. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop those in the comment section below. And also, I've linked for you a full lesson on this topic. If you want to dive deeper and spend some more time looking at vocabulary and more examples and word problems, go ahead and check out that link. Also, if you are looking for your own copy of all of the problems we went over, I have my 6th grade math workbook. That link is also in the description if you'd like a copy of your own. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.